Hi, this is Jack Tester, and welcome to another episode of Leadership Lounge. I am in St. Paul, Minnesota. It's April 2nd, which happens to be the first anniversary of Thad David. How you doing, Thad?
I'm doing great, Jack. Thanks. How are you?
Good. This is your first work anniversary here at Nexstar, specifically.
It is.
So congratulations.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
And I saw your face today, and I said, you got a story to tell. You got something interesting to share, because you are now a full-time trainer for Nexstar. You've been doing that for a year, and you've got an interesting journey to get to where you're sitting across from me right now. And I think it'll be interesting for our listeners to kind of hear that story too. So thanks for doing this, Thad.
Yeah, I'm happy to be here, Jack.
Good. So let's do this. Let's talk just very briefly. I don't want to get into a long thing, but where'd you grow up? Where were you when you graduated high school?
So I actually was born in New Orleans, Louisiana.
Okay.
My parents got a divorce. Didn't know my real father growing up, but my mom moved to South Mississippi.
Okay.
And I graduated from high school in
You
South
don't have a Mississippi accent or a New Orleans accent even.
I don't. And I actually grew up in a household where if I ever did anything that wasn't proper, speaking proper, my mom would swiftly poke me with a fork or whatever sharp object was closest.
Wow, it's like a nice upbringing.
So, yeah, it was. Yeah.
My mom beat me with a wooden spoon. You just poked you with a metal fork.
Right.
All right. So, nice. Thanks, Mom. All right, so that explains she didn't want you having all y'all and all that stuff.
Yeah, all y'all. Every now and again it'll slip out, but
yeah.
Yeah, so that's a little bit about where I grew up.
I didn't know that. So anyway, so you grew up in South Mississippi, New Orleans, kind of that area of the country.
Yep.
And that's where you graduated high school?
I did.
So right away, of course, you said the only path is college. Is that right? like we tell America's youth, right? Because now you're a very accomplished executive here at Nexstar. Of course, you had to go to college to do that, right?
Absolutely not.
You didn't?
Yeah. No, I joined the military. I knew the college was not for me. I didn't know what.
Why was that? Just curious. Why did you know it wasn't for you? Or was it just something else?
I was not a very good student. I don't like to say I was bad in school. I just know I wasn't very active in the learning process and what they were doing.
Okay.
So I don't think I did my part either. But I definitely didn't do well, and I thought to myself,
why extend the torture?
Yeah, why exactly? Well, why go do another 4 years of it? And
yeah.
I didn't really want to sit at home. I didn't know what other options I had. I mean, I grew up in a very poor neighborhood.
Okay.
Just didn't know what else was there, and the military was a way for me at least to kind of reset and see what else is out there and learn.
Kind of a common story to this point, isn't it? You know, for somebody that joins the military. Kind of left high school, finished that, wasn't intrigued with ongoing education for whatever the reason, good, bad, or indifferent, and joined the military. What service did you join?
In the Marines.
Oh, fantastic. What years was this, if I can ask?
Yeah, I was in from 01 to 05.
Okay, 01. Oh,
yeah.
Interesting times, weren't they?
It was.
Did you join before or after 9/11?
It was right before, and so I went to boot camp about 3 weeks after 9/11 happened.
Oh, wow.
My mom really tried hard to convince me not to go in.
Right, because we knew what was happening
Yep.
when that occurred. I
Yep.
remember that very well as a young man, for sure, or a middle-aged man at that time. So you joined the military and you joined the Marines. What did you want to do as a Marine?
So a cousin of mine was a Recon Marine, and
What does that mean for a regular guy like me that has flat feet and never joined the service?
So
I don't have flat feet, but I did join the service.
At the time, there's a couple of levels to it now, so it's changed. This is 17 years ago, 18 years ago, and at the time it was very much considered like Navy SEALs.
Okay, Recon Marines were?
Yep.
Okay, so
Yeah,
kind of an upper end, kind of the hardcore Marines, if there's, that's like a double negative there, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
There's a video out about them that says, the Marine slogan is the few and the proud.
Yep.
And it just says the fewer and the prouder.
That's a Recon Marine.
Yep.
So you had a relative that was a Recon Marine.
Yep.
And you said, me too?
That was what I wanted to do. And so you can't, at the time you couldn't sign up for it. All you could do is sign up to be in the infantry. And then you knew in infantry school you got to go try out. So I went, and there was a couple hundred of us that tried out, and I went to see what I could do.
Did you become a Recon Marine?
I did. They picked two of us. But that was just to move to the pre-recon school.
Okay.
There was quite a few levels to it. But they picked two of us. Me and I'm still good friends with the guy, Mike Bull.
And just curious, why you? Of the 2 out of the 100, what did you do that was more exemplary or stood out? I'm just curious what it was.
So we're very big in the water. So we swam a lot. And
Okay.
I swam all through high school which I think gave me a leg up on everybody else.
Okay.
Because I definitely showed that I could really step ahead in the
So you're a
pool
good
and in the
swimmer.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, with boots on or whatever you had to do and all that stuff, jumping out of an airplane into water or whatever.
Yep.
Jeez, I'm terrified just thinking of it. Okay. So you were, what else? You good at water? Something else?
That was really the main thing. I mean, they tested us a lot in the water, and I think, when everybody, I really stood out in that area.
Okay.
And everybody does really well in certain areas,
Uh-huh.
and I could hold my own and everything else, and that one I really.
And did you know that was a big part of becoming a Recon Marine? It just happened to be, I just happened to be a swimmer and I was good at it.
I knew that it was. That wasn't
Okay.
what caused me to be a swimmer, but
Uh-huh.
it definitely didn't hurt.
Okay. So no, going in, you had kind of a leg up, so to
I
speak.
figured it wasn't going to hurt me.
Yeah, an extra flipper there.
Yeah.
Okay. Great.
What kind of a podcast is
I don't
this
know.
again, Jack?
This is good. This
All
is
right.
good. So you became a Recon Marine.
Yep.
And how far into your service period was that?
It was right away. So
Okay.
I went through boot camp, went to Paris Island, went
Okay.
to infantry school,
Yep.
went through, which was about 3 months, pre-recon, which was, I think I was there for about 2 months.
Uh-huh.
Went to recon school, which was 3 months. And so
Okay.
I had that many months in before I actually got into a unit
Got it.
and went over to first recon in California.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah.
So what does a Recon Marine do then?
Recon Marine, we actually go out ahead. So one of the main things about reconnaissance is we go push up ahead and do recon. So we'll surveil, do recon.
recon.
That's a great
Hence
way
the
to.
name. Yeah.
So one of the first missions that we did in Iraq was they wanted to know, is the satellite imagery that we see, is it still accurate? So we want to see if this bridge is still here. Can we send a battalion in this direction? So instead of sending everybody there, they send the recon team, kind of ahead of everybody else just to check it out and see what's there.
Okay. Wow. And so you're part Desert Storm?
And not Desert Storm.
What's the name of it? What's the name of that?
I think
that
the,
was
the official
Afghanistan
was the
was the first
Operation
one.
Iraqi Freedom.
Right. I'm just getting
Yeah,
confused.
the
from
Iraq War.
All right.
Which one?
Well, the one that happened in the early 90s. I got
Yeah,
that
no,
one.
and that's Desert Storm. Yeah,
Yeah, that's the one. I'm
Just-
sorry. I got all confused with my wars. There's been so many.
Yep.
So,
Quite a few.
yeah. So anyway, I'm sorry. So you went ahead.
Yep.
And you observed things,
Mm-hmm.
right? And how long did you do that?
And that was, I mean, as far as the definition of reconnaissance, it's whenever it's needed. At
Okay.
that time, it was everybody moved up so fast through the Iraq War. I mean, it was like a foot race to get to Baghdad. It
Right.
was so
You
quick.
weren't reconning for long.
Right, yeah, there was a lot of punch ahead and then
Yeah.
move over here and then you find
45
yourself
seconds
yeah,
ahead, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
It was an
Still
interesting
sounds
one.
hairy to me and dangerous, wasn't it?
It was definitely, we found ourselves in some interesting situations.
Yeah. Wow. That's well, thank you for doing that. I'm sure it was a harrowing thing and you'd have some stories, and I don't know if now's the time to talk about those, but we'll see.
Well, I'm an open book.
Are you?
Yeah, it's not.
Well, tell me one recon story that stands out from your time, that whether it was an interesting one, a hairy one, or something that was of high value to you, if you can.
Yeah, no, I mean one that really stands out to me is, and I don't think we knew it at the time, but we went behind the city. So the whole battalion, everybody's waiting online. There's this huge line of machine guns literally on the ground, hundreds of men in the prone with machine guns aimed at the city. We ran around the backside to kind of see what was there.
Backside of the city.
The backside of the city to check out the back end. We were going to make sure nobody was going out
Yeah.
escaping, and we ended up getting caught in ambush, and we drove through, and this huge firefight took place. I mean, the vehicles looked like Swiss cheese. It was
You mean your vehicles, or
yeah, all of our vehicles. It was
terrible.
it was crazy. It was amazing that everybody made it out alive. But the really crazy part was we drove back out the front, and we didn't know if we were having trouble getting in touch with everybody at the machine gun line. And so
you
we
know
were,
if they were pointed at you?
no, they were pointed at us, and we just didn't want to get shot as we were advancing as fast as we could towards them.
Uh-huh.
And so that was one of the main ones where we all, when that was over,
Why didn't you
got up-
stay back behind and wait for him to get in there? And
was we were in the middle of an ambush. So
oh, so you had to keep driving.
yeah, so we're driving through the ambush. No,
I gotcha.
we're not.
Oh, you don't want to
there's-
stop. You don't
yeah,
want to
no,
stop.
you don't stop in the ambush, so you just
Okay.
drive through it. So
I'm
there's
slow.
yeah, no, it's
Yeah.
yeah. we drove through the ambush because we had no choice but to.
Got it.
And then we quickly found ourselves facing this big line of machine guns that we're just
So you're
hopefully.
That sounds harrowing.
It was. We were pretty thankful that day.
I bet you were.
Yeah.
I bet you were. Drive fast. Drive fast.
drive
Drive
very fast.
Fast. Okay. Well, there's another thing you did in the Marines that you've carried forward. You were some kind of a specialized shooter, weren't you? Or what were you?
Yeah, so I went through Scout Sniper School in the Marine Corps.
Okay. Tell us again, for a layman like me, what does that mean?
To be a sniper?
What is Scout Sniper? What's the role? I mean, I get it. You shoot guns, right?
Yeah. So I mean, it's a very specific craft in that I think what everybody sees, what you see on TV, is the shooting, and there's much more to it than just that. That's a very small piece. One of the bigger ones is actually getting into position, because you go off on your own. Stalking is a big one, where that's where you see them in the ghillie suits and they're crawling through the grass. And
you did that?
Yep, that was it. You had to show that you could do that.
Okay.
Yeah, just get in, so you have to be able to get into position, and then also have the mental capacity to know what you're doing and where you're going, because it's you. It's just you out there. So it was a pretty amazing course to go through. I think that's why I've stayed so strong today from what I learned in that course. So they ran us through all kinds of scenarios of, shoot or don't shoot scenarios, because everything you do is on the fly, and
right.
it was
right.
There was a lot of good training there that I think really I was able to take forward all the way through everything we did, and it was a good school.
Wow. So you've even had your sign-off line in your emails was shoot straight.
Yep.
Right. So, and that obviously came from this training and this experience you had.
Yep.
So tell me about that.
Well, so with Scout Snipers is SS, shoot straight, also SS.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So it's a common, I would say not a super common, but it's not an uncommon thing to see in the Scout Sniper world.
Is that how you'd say goodbye to each other? Shoot straight, that kind of stuff. Right?
Not,
I mean that respectfully,
yeah,
right?
No,
it's before you go on a mission, shoot straight.
No, it's not anything like that I've heard.
Okay.
But it's definitely something you'll see, and it was something that I remember telling myself on the line. I mean, learning how to known distance shooting when you get out there and you have to learn how to shoot.
Yeah.
It's one of the first things that they teach you, and there's so many little tiny things that go into shooting. And
about accuracy?
Yeah, with accuracy and every little thing that affects it. And that's just kind of how I reminded myself. I used that motto of shoot straight to remind myself every time I'm there to shoot straight.
Well, what I took from this, just what you just said, is that I'm a hunter. I'm not a shooter. I'm very practical. Hold my breath, pull the trigger, right?
Mm-hmm.
But what you're saying, there's a lot of little things that you got to do right, that you can't forget, to make sure you make an accurate shot.
Yep.
Right. And the metaphors there are endless in our business, right? And what you do, what you train for service system, and you think, well, I just show up, right? And you got a trained guy, and I knock on the door, and I walk in and go fix the problem and walk out. It's real simple, but there's 100 little things that we train that got to be done right. So I can kind of get the metaphor there, right? It's not life or death, like your job was, but it's those. In your case, it was the details that might make or break a successful mission, or even save your life, which really magnify their importance. But in the real world, they're still important. Does that make sense?
Oh, absolutely. And to the point of in the service world, there was that I don't remember what show it was on. They had that team of plumbers that went into that woman's house for 10 years. She'd been sick, and everybody. Did you see that one?
No.
All these doctors are prescribing her medicine because they think she's getting sick, and this group of very skilled plumbers went in, realized that she had a CO leak coming off her water heater. They fixed it up. Everything's gone. She's healthy again after 10 years of doctors not knowing what's wrong.
Really?
Yeah, no, and so I fully believe that there's, while that's not every single call, people's lives are on the line with what, the service professionals that we have the opportunity to train. And so
what I hear coming through this is just kind of the appreciation for detail, the appreciation for process, the appreciation for discipline that you learned in the military. Really served you well, hasn't it?
It has.
That's awesome, man. Well, thank you for your service.
No,
for
thank
sure.
you. I was really happy to be able to go do my part.
Yeah, well, you certainly sound like you did. So well done, man. Well done. So you were in the service for 5 years. 4 years.
4 years.
From
Yep.
from 1 to 5.
01 to 05, yeah.
Right. And of course, then you left the service and said, of course, now's the time to use the GI Bill and go right back to, because I have to I'm saying this facetiously now.
Yep.
Now's the time to go back to college.
Yeah.
Is that what you said?
That is exactly what I said.
Did you?
Because that's what needed to be done.
Why'd you feel
And
that way at
I think
that
that's,
point?
that's what society teaches us.
Yeah.
You have to go to college.
Did you?
I ended up going, and it was not a successful run at it.
Okay.
But I did
Didn't
go.
exactly shoot straight.
Yeah, did not.
You kind of drove through that ambush too, didn't you?
Exactly.
Oh,
yeah,
sorry. Making fun of a life or death situation's not real nice, but you're laughing. That's
but
what's
it's-
important
no,
to me.
it's, yeah.
So no, you went to college. How long did you go to college?
Yeah, I was doing the math on that, and it was a few years. It was.
You were a terrible student.
Right,
You,
yeah.
you couldn't even count the months, could you?
No, it's more of, I think they say that people that went as long as me, they call them doctors. So
Did you go a long time?
it went for a few. It went for a while.
Okay.
And so I wasn't quite 8, but I think I was there for every bit of 6.
Oh, really?
5.5 or 6.
Okay, so from 05 to 11?
Yeah.
Is that right? Is that about the time you were?
Yeah, so 6.5.
So you didn't graduate.
Did not graduate.
What did you decide to do before you? I imagine you were full time for a while. Is this part time or?
I was full time. Switched over to part time for some of it. I started in California and actually
Yeah.
moved back after Hurricane Katrina. Moved back
Moved
home
back
to New
home
Orleans.
to New Orleans,
Because
yeah.
that hit in August.
Yeah.
So I was already enrolled in California.
Okay.
Moved back home to help out, and
Okay.
that's my disclaimer, is one of those little hiccups. But
What's that? What's the hiccup? Move
just
them back?
that I went and moved back and help the family out. But
Oh.
it was definitely me not.
It wasn't exactly a mission of mercy as you're
Right,
talking
yeah.
about. It's like this is a convenient excuse to get the heck out of college. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and I picked it back up. I went to UNO, the University of New Orleans.
Okay.
For a couple years.
Okay.
And was not successful with that. And
Okay.
it was really, really interesting. I was waiting tables.
Well, didn't you do some mercenary work?
I did.
Was that during that 6 years?
It was actually afterwards. So it was actually right after I met Keith. I went. And,
So listen. So I'm sorry to interrupt because
Nope.
I thought you were going to jump past it because I thought that was fascinating. So
Mm-hmm.
you're waiting tables.
started waiting tables, going to school. You know, I was working at a nice steakhouse. I thought the money was great. Life is good.
Waiter.
Yeah, being a waiter. It was
Good tips.
good tips. It was it
Yeah.
was a pretty nice steakhouse.
Had to be really expensive and indulgent if Keith went there. So right. That's
yeah,
good.
and I'll
Yeah.
never. He walked in by himself and he came, got a steak and a bourbon. So
Sure.
no surprise. He's
Okay.
still the same.
Right. Right.
So I met Keith and we got to talking about just the military. He's got 2 buddies that actually were
Okay. Yeah,
Recon
he
Marines
sure
as
does.
well.
Yeah.
And he mentioned troops to trades. The interesting thing, I don't think a lot of people realize, but about a week and a half before I met Keith, my dog had died. Went to my mom's house on a Saturday to bury my dog, and that Tuesday after that, my mom just didn't wake up, and she passed away, which sparked the mercenary work, because I was just not in a good place
So
in a
this
good
is a week and a
headspace.
half after you met Keith.
Yep. Before I met Keith, so I was at work.
Okay.
I just kind of wanted to go forget about it, but my mom passed away.
I'm sorry.
That's-
Yeah.
That's all right.
Yeah.
But that was kind of what
So a
sparked
real
the
transitional period for you then, wasn't it?
extremely.
Your
extremely.
mother passed away. You know,
Yep.
you're not minimizing, but your dog passed away.
Yeah. Well, and so I bring up
So
the
now your
dog because it
connection
was
in New Orleans is kind of gone.
Yep.
In some level.
Yeah,
right?
it was. And I bring up the dog because that's what got me to see my mom, because she lived about an hour away from me. I wouldn't have seen her. And so I got to see my mom on a Saturday night right before. So I was just grateful for that.
Oh yeah.
And then met Keith.
And he mentioned the trades and
Yep.
Troops to Trades, which was this emerging program that the foundation had put together to help transitioning veterans find work in the trade. So Keith is passionate, founder of that idea here at Nexstar, and sold you a little bit or talked to you about that.
Yeah.
just a conversation.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah, he
You
did.
said-
Got me in touch. We had a great conversation.
Yeah.
And I ended up, given my background in the military I used to get phone calls all the time for doing various things, and
Various things.
just doing contracting work overseas. So like the mercenary work in Africa.
Okay, so tell us what you did.
So I was
So let's just frame this. You talked to Keith about the trades. Your mother had just passed away.
Yep.
Transitional period. You know, you weren't actually working within your major. Didn't even have a major at this point,
yeah.
right? You're, making decent money,
Yep.
right?
And I was close. I'm about 15 hours away from a biology degree. So
Okay, good to know.
Yep.
For a swimmer,
Yeah.
thing, right? All right, right on. So anyway, then you left New Orleans, and you would tell the people listening what you did.
So my job was I would fly into the west coast of Africa,
Uh-huh.
wherever the ship was going to pick us up. We would go meet a team, whoever was going to be there with us. We'd fly over, meet them, wait at the harbor. The ship would come and pick us up, and then we'd guide these ships through the pirate waters. And they just make sure that none of the ships got ambushed
I
with.
mean, this is the pirates that come on those little speedboats that
Yep.
run up to these tankers, right? That you
Yep.
see on TV or used to hear about.
Yep, that's
right.
exactly right.
So you'd man these guns on this ship in case they were was one ever attacked by a pirate?
So it was, the reason that security works so well, and the way that I always explain it to people, is if you go into a parking lot with all these cars and you can go rob any of them except for the one that has 3 people with guns in it, which one would you rob? It's anyone but that one. And so it was very much a show of force. I mean, we'd go up there, show our
Oh.
guns. I mean, we would see them, frequently. But
Free-
once they saw that
Who's
you
they?
had,
I mean, the pirates?
the pirates, yeah.
How'd you know they're pirates?
So you're
They didn't have a black flag anymore.
Yeah.
Like they did back in the day.
But don't tell that to my nieces, because they really,
Right.
when I was over there,
Okay.
they loved thinking that that's what it was.
Okay.
Me and Jack Sparrow, just doing our
That's
thing.
who I think about when I look at you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
So imagine being 80 to 100 miles off the coast.
Yeah.
And there's all these fishermen, a surprisingly large amount, and these little wooden boats.
Everywhere.
Yeah,
They're just-
there's quite a few.
Okay.
And you wonder how that little boat even makes it 80 to 100 miles off the coast.
Uh-huh.
And so you can identify that's a fisherman. That's a fisherman. There might be 1 or 2 people on the boat. And then you go by one boat that has 30 people in it, 20 people in this boat, they're not fishing, and they're kind of eyeballing. So they would never pull up their weapons because they know
Got
that's
it.
a show
You'd
force.
sink
But it
'em.
was pretty obvious who they were.
Okay.
And-
And you wanted to make sure that you were brandishing weapons, and it was very evident.
Yep.
Got it. Wow. Very, very interesting. How long did you do that?
It's a couple months, and I
Good times, huh?
yeah, it was good times. I knew.
Joking. Had to be.
It was good. I mean, we worked 8 hours. We did 8-hour shifts in the bridge.
Oh, you just
And
sat there and looked at the ocean, right?
Yep.
Made
Looked
sure
at
the
ocean
guns
and-
were shined.
Yep. And that was yeah.
Nothing else to do. Like being a
That's-
fireman waiting for a call.
Yep. That's what it was.
Sounds like hell.
So, and I knew that what I wanted in my future was having a family and being able
Yeah.
to take care of that family, and being gone for 2, 3, 4 months at a time was not
Right.
a good way, especially in that capacity.
Yeah.
So-
Yeah. That does. I don't know. It doesn't sound glamorous at all to me. To be protecting a cargo ship in the Indian Ocean.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you got back into port. What happened?
After the last one,
Yeah. Well, you did several of these little trips.
yeah, I did a few,
Okay.
and just I realized it wasn't for
Probably
me.
paid good though. I bet, didn't it?
The pay was good when they paid, so I actually got
great.
out. So there's still a balance due, but they haven't.
Who's supposed to pay? The shipping company?
No, so the company that I worked for, they actually used it. I think he used it as a tool to make sure other people you went back out. So he would miraculously find money if you signed up to go on another one. Be like, oh yeah, I got some money for you here.
Oh.
But the moment that you didn't,
That sounds.
It
You
was-
don't
yeah.
mess with snipers.
yeah, well,
Yeah. They did.
it's yeah, they did.
They did.
They did.
Okay. I'd be
Um,
terrified of you. So.
Yeah, well.
Wow. All right. So you still got a paycheck coming.
Yeah, we'll see. This has been I'm not holding my breath for that one.
No, I think when you got AR that's 8 years old,
Yeah.
you got a problem with that
Yeah.
with collections. Just letting you know. Usually
Right.
past 90 days is a warning sign.
That's it?
Yeah,
Okay.
just letting you know. So anyway, so you did a bunch of these trips, and you get back in you're not chatting on cell phone when you're out there, are you?
Nope. Yeah,
Kinda-
there was service when when you hit land, but when you're off
Okay.
the coast, there was nothing.
So you get to a port. What'd you do?
You watch them unload, and I mean, because you had to give security while they were
Okay.
unloading too, because
Okay,
you didn't want
suppose.
to get robbed while you were
All right.
in the port.
Let me take the next one.
Yeah.
What'd they do after they were unloaded?
We would just take off to the next one, and nobody wanted to hang out in the harbors and stuff. It definitely wasn't. They would, and the people on the boats, they would actually go out into town and do whatever they did. But I stayed on. I never got up I would go walk around the city just to check it out. But
Yeah. Kind
never
of stood out.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
I looked a little different.
They have one Irish guy walking
Yeah.
through. Yeah. Right. So tell us how you decided to get away from this life now, this interim life.
Yeah, I wanted something more. I wanted something different, something
Yeah.
that didn't require me to put my life on the line. And
Okay. So what'd you find?
so I actually called Keith back up, and
You
asked-
called Keith Mercurio.
Yep, Keith
back.
Mercurio back up, and I don't want to leave out this other piece, but I actually looked at a different. I used to brew a lot of beer back in the day,
Sure.
and so I talked to him about possibly working at a brewery.
Talk to who? Keith?
Keith, yeah,
Okay.
I actually he tells the story much better, but I talked to him about that. Ended up getting into the trades. I went to I got signed up for my first service system out in Denver.
And through Troops of Trades.
Through Troops of Trades. I loaded everything I had. If it wouldn't fit in a 6x12 U-Haul, it wasn't coming with me.
Okay.
And I remember I drove my Xterra cross country to Colorado, parked at the Hyatt in downtown Denver. Everything I owned at this service system was in the U-Haul in the parking lot. I didn't have a place to stay. I didn't know where I was going. I didn't have a job. I didn't have a place. I just kind of on complete blind faith of.
That what?
Yeah.
Troops of Trades would find you a home?
Yeah, or at least give me the opportunity.
Yeah.
To be able to do that.
Right.
Come do this, and then while I was out here, that Keith was going to set up some interviews and get me, introduce me to some people.
Okay.
So
So you decided to take a shot.
I did.
Who'd you meet?
I ended up meeting Mike and Jeff Allen.
Oh, great people.
They are top notch.
Yeah.
Can't say enough.
Allen
good
Services in Fort Collins, Colorado.
things. Yep,
Fantastic. And they decided to hire you?
they did.
What'd they have you do? You didn't have any trade background per se. I mean,
No.
You're a straight shooter. We knew that, right?
Right. As long as there wasn't
Hell
any,
on pirates.
Yeah.
We knew that.
As long as there's no schoolwork, I'm ready to go. So, so I eventually, I wanted to get into sales because I thought that was where I wanted to be. And Jeff, being the visionary that he is, I mean, really a brilliant idea. He wanted somebody to come in and actually train the service system to ride along. And he asked me, they were really great. They recognized what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
And they wanted to hire me. They offered me a position as a ride-along coach. They said,
Yeah.
we want you to do this for 6 months. If you don't like it, we'll
Yeah.
put you in the sales role and get you going. But
Yeah.
this way you'll learn some about the trades too.
Right.
And that's what they got me started doing first. I started doing ride-alongs, learning about the trades, and because I had been through a service system, I really immersed myself in that
Yeah.
and helped their team out with it.
Very nice. Very nice. We had a nice career at Allen.
Yeah, it was.
How many years were you there?
It was almost 5 years.
Wow. I didn't
Yeah.
realize it was that long. Time's
it-
moving fast now.
Yeah, it was
So from 12 to 7 to, 13 to 18, something like that?
Yeah.
So you ride along coach, you started to do some management there, you learned the business.
Yep.
Right? Helped out, did that, then you relocated to Fort Collins?
Yeah, so I moved to Fort Collins, got set up there, and was the ride-along coach. Did that for a couple years. They started expanding. They opened up, split their departments, and needed 2 service managers.
Uh-huh.
And they put me into the HVAC role.
Yep.
And to be the service manager, which was,
Right.
I was just grateful for that as well.
Well, we had seen, obviously you knew Keith, and we had talked to the good folks at Allen about you being a member trainer for us. So you started to do some training on behalf of Nexstar out in the greater world.
Yep.
Is that right? Service system training, because you were doing that. It's what your life was, your career, I should say.
Yeah.
At that point, right? And then things worked out that you were able to come on full time with Nexstar, and we're very grateful for the good folks at Allen to help us work that out, and that was an awesome opportunity for you.
Yeah, that was an emotional day for me.
Leaving Allen?
Yeah, I was.
Well, it's great people. He was on the board for a while, done with
Oh,
Jeff, and he's just a
yeah.
great guy.
That was
Great business to work.
It was phenomenal. I have nothing but love and respect
Yeah.
for Mike and Jeff Allen.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
They were amazing in supporting me and moving out to Colorado. They took me in. Just still
Yeah.
to this day, nothing. They support me still, and it's pretty amazing.
Well, that's fantastic. Well, let's talk about your journey since you've been here
Mhm.
at Nexstar. Tell me about what your job right now. Why don't you describe to people what you do, if they don't know what your job
I'm
is?
a trainer with Nexstar.
Okay.
So the main class that I facilitate is service system.
Okay.
I do a few other ones. So I do the public events, some of the public events, and several private events where I
Right.
go out to companies and we facilitate a 3-day service system.
Yeah. You also teach install too.
I do
right?
the install,
What else do you teach?
the service management, the HVAC specific, the electrical sales,
Okay.
so a few of them.
Well, you started a nice career here, so thank you for that, man. You're on the road all the time.
Yeah, well,
You know.
I feel really just grateful to be here and just to have this
Yeah.
opportunity. It's amazing. We have I love being at Nexstar. I love Nexstar's membership. It's pretty amazing.
Let's talk about. I want to shift from your perspective and your journey, and it's a fascinating one, by the way. You've had a completely different set of experiences that I've had, and most people have had, being in the military and what you've done there, and transitioning out and doing some contract work overseas, and I mean, really a fascinating journey. But tell us what you think has been from that journey. If you think about what you're doing today, what's been the biggest lessons you've pulled forward? What have you pulled forward from the military, or even from your prior to that you really look at and say, wow, this is really serving me well right now as a trainer, as a professional, etc.?
And just to be clear, pulling from the military
Could be, sure.
or just anything.
Yeah.
And
Let's keep it military.
Okay.
Let's narrow the universe down.
really the work ethic. I think my time in the military, it's been really interesting because I learned a ton, and it's paying dividends to me because I find myself reflecting on it pretty frequently
Mm-hmm.
and pulling from those experiences still to this day. So there was a lot that I learned then. A big thing is the discipline and the work ethic, and I would say leadership.
Let me ask you a question. At the time you're learning this discipline, and people think about discipline as coercion or authoritativeness, and it's really about self-control, isn't it?
Yep.
Isn't it about having a regimen to your life of high value habits that then, at the time you were learning them in the military, did you think they were kind of stupid, or did you value them then too? Or do you value them more now?
I definitely value them more now.
Okay.
I didn't know the benefit that it would have to the future.
Right.
I just knew that certain things I have to be at work at, 5 a.m., 6 a.m., whatever time it was.
Yeah.
So regardless of what happens the night before, you're going to work and obviously make that decision, but you're
Right.
still showing up.
Right.
Like there's no excuse not to be there.
Yeah. Very good. So that discipline carried forward, and now
Yeah.
it's become a habit in your life. You've seen the benefit, right? And I've used this example before, but I think it's so true. All the things you had to do to shoot straight, right? All the little micro acts that you had to, whether it's the way you think, the way you breathe, the way you prepare. There's a prepare, a greet, explore,
Right.
a present, a wrap up, and execute. I'm sorry. Terrible metaphor right there, but yeah, I guess the service system does apply,
I was
doesn't
going
it?
to let you go with it. And
Wow. I never thought about that. That's terrible. But no, I can see the value there, right? So I guess, obviously this thing is that, what's the value of hiring a vet and taking a shot on a vet, honorably discharged guy like yourself, good experience, really brings some qualities that you just don't learn other places. I didn't learn what you learned going to college right out of high school. Trust me, I didn't have any. I'm not sure what I learned, but it wasn't the life lessons that you got, right? And I tell you, even here at Thad, is, I talk to people that work closer to you than I do, and they speak so well of your professionalism and the way you volunteer and the way you communicate and the gratitude you have. And I don't know if that comes from your background and from the military, but it shows well here at Nexstar, and I've watched you train too, and I can see that discipline come through. You're a focused guy. That's great quality.
Well, thank you, Jack. I appreciate that.
No, I mean it. I mean it. It's been great. What else? What else? Let me turn the table a little bit here. I was talking about you and what you've carried forward, and if you had to give some members or even non-members that might be listening some advice about how to prepare people to be successful coming to your class. So people that arrive in your class, what would you recommend happens right before or as a prerequisite, and then right after they go to one of your training classes? What would you say would be advice you would give a manager or somebody of sending people away to training? What would you say?
For the manager or anybody that's sending somebody to training or looking to go to training, I think it's really all about the mindset that you bring in.
Okay.
If you're really shut down, not open to it, eventually, we spend 3 days together, and everybody tends to open up,
Mm-hmm.
and it's
a rare person that shuts down the whole time.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, just the other day at well, I won't name the company, but I was there, and they had somebody that he is a 20-plus year plumber from New Jersey. He
Say no more.
Yeah,
Say no more. Yeah.
It was very obvious
Yeah.
that he didn't want to be there. His
Yeah.
mannerisms, and he came up to me after the videos
On the third day.
and everybody was at lunch, and he sat down next to me. He's like, "Dad, I just want to say thank you." And I was like, "Oh, what's up? Tell me some more. What's up?" And he just said, I came in really defensive, really
Yeah.
didn't want to be here, and I really see what Nexstar is all about. Now I see what the process is and why they're doing certain things, and I'm just really happy to be here. And it was his mindset shift, and I think about, had he had that shift earlier, how much more would he have gotten out of it? And,
Yeah.
and I think it's doing the pre-work, talking to the people that you're sending
Okay.
to training about, what do you want to get out of this? What can you get out of
Right.
this? Because it's very unknown for some people, and they
Yeah.
don't know what to expect. And
Well, I can see that some people might come in thinking, this guy's just trying to send me to training so he can make more money out of me.
yeah,
Right? It's not necessarily about my benefit. It's
Right.
about his or her benefit, right? So definitely thinking about the mindset and working on that and making sure that the people that show up are open so that the first 5 minutes are as valuable as the last 5 minutes, right?
yeah.
But it's not always the case. But it's good advice, right?
Yeah.
That is good advice. What else? What else would you say? They leave the training. What would you recommend they do? They walk out the door. Your job's done. You get on an airplane. You go back to your family in Fort Collins, and these guys all go to theirs. They come into business the next Monday. What should a manager say, do, or if anything, to them?
Well, from the management side, I hope they would follow up and ask questions. What did you learn?
Mhm.
What did you take away from this?
Okay.
And then how can I support you with this?
Uh-huh.
Because they very much come out on a big high of this experience.
Right.
Hopefully everybody does.
Yeah.
And keeping them on that high is, they show back up, supporting where they're at, and hopefully asking, how can I support you? What can we do to keep this going? Because they leave with very specific goals in mind.
Right. There's curbsides to do,
Yeah.
all that stuff, right? All the follow-up, because what does it take? I've heard so many 21, 35, 42 days to create a habit, whatever
Right.
it is, right? We've just done 3 days of it, and then they go on a weekend, and probably not a habit going on there, right? And they show up Monday, and we hope they start to use some, but there's so much content, it's hard, right?
No, it's
You
very much a fire hose, just blasting information.
Right.
There's
Right.
so much, and the depth of it. I was telling somebody the other day, it was his second service system, and he said he felt like he learned much more out of this one.
Yeah.
And I explained it as, it's, have you ever skipped a rock across a pond? And
Okay.
it just kind of skims the surface.
Okay.
And that's the first time through. And then the second time that you're able to take that rock a little bit deeper.
Got it.
And you pull, even though it's similar content, you're
Right.
able to go a little bit deeper into it.
Right.
Because, Dan and Julian and everybody that built
Yeah.
the books have put a lot of depth into it.
They have. Question for you. This is maybe another way to ask the same question, but you could go back now to your prior job as a ride-along coach, as a trainer. What would you do different on a ride-along today after a training, knowing what you know now as a trainer? Would you do anything different Is there any different thoughts you've had?
And this is after somebody's come back from a
Or
training?
it could be maybe before sending them. Maybe just another way to think back on how you used to do your job, because you used to do that. You used to be
Yeah.
that guy, right?
Yep.
You were the guy that did all that, right? You're the one who prepped the guys to go to training. Then in some cases you did the training, and then
Yep.
you were there to see them come back, right? Now you've been in the class. You've seen a lot of different people. Turn the page. You had to go back and do it again. What would you do better, different, more or less? Any learning there?
Really asking more questions about them is really what pops in my mind, I think.
Okay.
Making it more about them and truly how can I support you? And
Okay.
so they feel that, because, kind of you mentioned earlier, if somebody might be resistant or hesitant because they don't want to go out to do a sales process.
Yeah.
I'm not here to make you more money, but
Right.
if we show interest in them and how can I support
Got
you?
it.
What do you want to get out of this? And really make it about them, just
Got
like
it.
we tell them make their customer experience about the customer.
Right.
As a ride-along coach, my customer was that technician, and
Yeah.
so make it all about them, make it truly about them, and that will.
So the temptation for me would be to go, what did you learn? Show it to me,
Yeah.
right? Show me the greet. Show me the explore. Use the agenda card. Let me
Right.
see it, right? And I'm jumping right past the person, right into the thing.
Yep.
And you would say that let's just make sure that we make sure we've sourced the why for the person. Make sure we've drawn that out,
Yep.
right? So that now we can understand their motive, we can understand their mindset, we can really understand how to and very fairly make it so it's really benefiting them first, right?
Right.
Because I would jump right, I can see myself. I would go right to the thing.
Yeah.
Let's go do this.
And we're jumping right in to close the sale. We
Yeah.
want to jump right in, and
Right.
we haven't even had the conversation yet.
Yeah.
And so
I feel terrible about myself right now, but that's exactly what I would do. In the reality is I'll think this sounds so good, and then I'll leave here. I won't even do it. I'll work on it, though. Well, Thad, thank you so much, man, for all you're doing for this industry and for Nexstar and our members. It's great to have you doing this good work.
Oh, well, thank you, Jack. I'm
Yeah.
really, really grateful. Thank you.
I know you are, and that comes through every day here at Nexstar. So I wanted to share your story. It's a very fascinating one, your journey through the industry. I think your journey up through the military is probably not atypical, right? And then what you've done since then is, though, and that's fantastic. And again, thank you for your service for sure. Thank you for finding your way to Nexstar. I'm so glad that Keith had a steak in that steakhouse that night, and that you were his waiter, and the changes that have happened as a result of that. Very exciting.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
And thank you all for listening to another special episode of Leadership Lounge. If you're out in the world and you see Thad David at an Nexstar class, you got to go. He's a great trainer, and he's got great jokes, and you got to go and enjoy them. I'm joking there. He's a great trainer. Got to work on his jokes. So thank you all so very much. We'll catch you next time. See you later.